I'd see the guys, the horsemen bring in the bridles, in kind of way back there, the Adolph Bayer stuff was very popular in highly coveted items, the spurs and the bits. And I had the opportunity to see some of these pieces and just really admire Adolph Bayer's work. And that kind of got me interested in the bit and spur world, as well as the work of Billy Klapper. The horseman really liked the 27 bit and then the 78 spurs. And as a young man, I kind of took interest in that also. It's just a way to create something out of metal, which is very interesting. It's really tough at first to figure out how the bits and spurs were made. But going back to working on the cars, I'd done some metal work and so forth, so I knew how to grind a little bit. But I had to kind of teach myself the silversmithing, the silver soldering, and then the engraving. And I really liked the Adolph Bayer style, the wheat stalk engraving, that just really intrigued me. So my dad had a pair of stainless steel spurs made by Adolph Bayers, and the engraving was just incredible on them, and it was all done by hand. And I didn't have any formal training in engraving or anything. I just kind of had to figure it out myself. And I remember sitting in a rocking chair over at our house on Commerce Street and just looking and staring at those spurs, and just I'd put them up, then I'd get them out, look at them, and just try to figure out the cut marks. And one day it just kind of came, to me. I think I can do this, so I made a engraving tool to do the wheat stalk and the cut marks. So anyway, I hope that answered your question.
What's your preference, or what type of metals have worked best, whether it's a thickness or hardness?
Well, I made one of the first pair of spurs I made was a trainer for Matlock Rose named Bill Elwood. I made him a set of real thin band, 1/8 inch steel, mild steel spurs, and ground the shanks out of 3/8 thick material, hand cut the rowels, and I was pretty proud of these. I think I got $100 for that pair of spurs. Bill picked those up. He brought them back the next day and they were all bent out of shape. So I had to do some investigating on metals. So seemed like a lot of the metal workers at that time in the early days, especially the bit and spur makers, were really closed mouthed, or you couldn't really find out the metals that worked. So I just happened upon the right number of it's an aircraft alloy, actually, 4130, that works good for spur heel bands. The shanks don't have to be exactly 4130, but it's okay. Hot rolled or cold rolled steel, 1/2 inch thick, will work just fine. So after finding out the right metals for the heel band and the spur shanks, I like to use hard rails when I can, and I'll harden those, like use a 01 knife steel, and just trial and error and kindly get the